Chapter 1. The Comparison Trap. Why your brain is lying to you right now. Have you ever felt a sudden pang of inadequacy when you scrolled through someone else's achievements, their photos, their success, their life? Maybe you even caught yourself thinking, why am I not as successful as them? Why doesn't my life look like theirs? If you have, don't worry. This is not your fault. This is the human brain at work. And it has a trick, a hidden trap, designed to make you feel small, even when you are capable of greatness beyond your imagination. Welcome to what I call the comparison trap. It's a silent, invisible, relentless mental game that you didn't even know you were playing. And the truth is, it's been wired into your brain for centuries, not for your failure, but for survival. You see, your brain is a storyteller, a pattern finder, a machine that constantly evaluates, judges, and measures you against others. And sometimes it lies. It doesn't show you the truth. It shows you a distorted version of reality, one that keeps you stuck in fear, doubt, and self-criticism. Here's the shocking science behind it. When you compare yourself to others, your brain activates the same neural circuits as when it perceives a threat. Your reward centers, the parts of your brain that celebrate wins and pleasure, go silent. Instead, your stress circuits light up. Your body releases cortisol, your heart rate increases, and suddenly, a normal thought, a simple comparison, becomes a trigger for anxiety, self-doubt, and sometimes even despair. The truth is harsh. Your brain is literally tricking you into feeling less than, even if you're already thriving. But here's the liberating truth. You can shut it down. You can rewire your brain to stop falling for these lies. And the first step is awareness. Recognize that every time you feel envy, inadequacy, or shame when comparing yourself to someone else, it's not because you are weak. It's because your brain is operating on outdated survival programming. This comparison, this mental trap, was useful for our ancestors when survival meant knowing who had more resources or allies. But today, it's keeping you from realizing your true potential. Let's break it down. When you scroll through social media, when you see someone's highlight reel, your brain has no way of knowing that their success is only a fragment of their life. It doesn't see the hard work behind the scenes, the struggles, the late nights, the failures. All it sees is a shiny object, a comparison point, and it automatically starts measuring you against it. And here's the brutal truth. This comparison is always unfair. You are not measuring yourself against reality. You are measuring yourself against someone else's edited story. Imagine for a moment if you applied the same energy you spend on comparing yourself to someone else's life and turned it inward. What if you invested that energy in understanding your strengths, nurturing your skills, and building your unique path? That shift, subtle as it may sound, is revolutionary. It is the doorway from jealousy and frustration to empowerment and growth. Here's a practical method to stop falling into the trap. The next time you catch yourself thinking, I'm not enough compared to them, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself, their journey is theirs. My journey is mine. Comparison is a lie my brain is telling me. Repeat it. Say it aloud. Write it down. Make it a ritual. Over time, your brain will stop triggering stress when comparison arises. It will learn to see others as inspiration, not competition. Now, let's talk about the power of self-focus. Humans often think that growth comes from imitating others, from matching them, from competing endlessly. But the reality is that true potential emerges when you stop comparing and start cultivating your unique capabilities. Think about the greatest innovators, the most successful people in the world. They didn't succeed by copying someone else's life. They succeeded by diving into their own strengths, exploring their passions, and doing the work that only they could do. Here's the next truth you need to internalize. Your timeline is yours alone. Success is not a race, and life is not a competition against others. The feeling of being behind is purely psychological. It's your mind creating a false narrative. When you finally accept that, you free yourself. You stop measuring your worth by external standards, and you start measuring it by your own growth, your own milestones, your own alignment with your values. Let's make it real. Close your eyes for a moment and think of one person you compare yourself to. Notice the feelings that arise: envy, fear, self-doubt. Now ask yourself, do I really know their full story? Do I know their struggles, the mistakes, the setbacks, the nights they felt lost? Of course not. All you see is the highlight reel. And yet, your brain believes it as the ultimate truth. This is why comparison is a trap. It's not the reality. It's a distorted lens your mind imposes on life. So how do you escape? You reframe comparison into curiosity. Instead of thinking, why are they better than me? Ask yourself, what can I learn from their approach? How can I adapt insights without diminishing myself? This subtle shift turns envy into growth, fear into learning, and paralysis into action. And here's another secret. Gratitude is a weapon against comparison. When you focus on what you already have, what you've achieved, and the small victories you often overlook, your brain begins to rewire. Gratitude creates dopamine spikes, positive reinforcement, and a sense of abundance that comparison can never touch. Every day, take a moment to reflect. What are 3 things you've done well today? What are 3 moments that made you feel alive, competent, or proud? This exercise, simple as it may seem, trains your brain to focus on your journey, not someone else's highlight reel. Finally, remember this. Self-worth is not measured by the lives of others. You are not less than because someone else is more than. You are unique, equipped with strengths, experiences, and perspectives that no one else can replicate. Your potential is vast, but it is unlocked only when you stop measuring it with someone else's ruler. Every step you take towards self-awareness, every moment you dedicate to your growth, every choice you make aligned with your values is a victory over the comparison trap. So, here's your call to action. Start today. Stop scrolling with envy. Stop thinking their life defines yours. Begin the practice of self-focus, gratitude, and curiosity. Write your goals, track your growth, and celebrate your wins, even the small ones. Let your brain learn that your value is intrinsic, not comparative. Because here's the ultimate truth. When you stop comparing yourself, you unlock the door to your true potential. You begin to see life through your lens, take ownership of your path, and create the success, happiness, and fulfillment that is authentically yours. And that, my friend, is not just a mindset shift, it's a life transformation. Chapter 2. Your highlight reel versus they're behind the scenes. Imagine for a moment that you're scrolling through social media. Maybe it's Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. You see your friends, colleagues, or even strangers posting about their achievements, their vacations, their seemingly perfect relationships. You pause. You compare. You start thinking, why isn't my life like that? Why am I not achieving what they are achieving? Why do I feel stuck while their lives seem perfect? This, my friend, is one of the most dangerous traps of modern life. The trap of comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. It's a trap that social media has perfected, that advertisers, influencers, and even friends unconsciously feed into, and it's stealing your confidence, your motivation, and your ability to feel fulfilled. Let's start with a simple truth. What you see online is not reality. The smiling faces, the exotic trips, the promotions, the awards, they are carefully curated. What people share publicly is always their highlight reel, the best moments they choose to display. You don't see the struggles, the late nights, the failures, the disappointments, the arguments, the moments of fear or doubt. All you see is perfection. And when your mind compares your full reality with someone else's edited highlight reel, it feels unfair, inadequate, and unworthy. But here's the first powerful realization. This pressure is completely manufactured. The second truth is that your brain is wired to compare. This is a survival mechanism built over millennia. Your ancestors had to compare themselves to others to assess their chances of survival, reproduction, and success. But today, that same mechanism is being hijacked by social media. Every image, every video, every post becomes a signal. Are you enough? Are you doing enough? And your brain, seeking shortcuts to judge your worth, takes the bait every single time. But here's the liberating part. Once you see this for what it is, the power shifts back to you. Understanding the difference between a highlight reel and behind-the-scenes moments is like stepping out of a cage you didn't even know you were in. When you realize that almost everyone is editing their public life, that nobody shares the painful, messy, raw parts of reality, the pressure immediately decreases. You no longer measure your life with the wrong ruler. You no longer compete in a race that doesn't exist. Let's make it practical. The next time you scroll through your feed and feel a twinge of inadequacy, pause. Ask yourself, am I comparing my entire life to their carefully curated moments? The answer is almost always yes. And once you identify it, you can stop it. You can take control of your attention, your thoughts, and your emotional state. Here's an exercise to make this real. Choose 3 accounts you follow that trigger comparison or envy. For each one, write down what you actually know about their life beyond the posts. How much of what you see is edited, filtered, or incomplete? Then, write down 3 things about your own journey that people don't see. The struggles you've overcome, the effort you've put in, the skills you've developed. This simple exercise creates clarity and perspective and reminds you that comparison is based on illusions, not reality. Now, let's talk about the deeper psychology. Social media doesn't just trigger envy. It can rewire your brain for chronic dissatisfaction. Studies show that frequent comparison online can increase feelings of anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. Dopamine, the chemical your brain releases when you see likes or notifications, creates short-term pleasure. But when you measure your worth by these signals, you are addicted to the approval of others. You are living for validation that is fleeting, external, and ultimately meaningless. So how do you fight this? Here's the mindset shift. Replace comparison with curiosity and learning. Instead of asking, why is their life better than mine? Ask, what can I learn from their approach? How can I adapt their lessons without diminishing myself? This subtle shift transforms jealousy into strategy, fear into motivation, and stagnation into growth. Here's another practical tip. Limit exposure. Social media is not inherently bad, but mindless scrolling creates the perfect environment for comparison traps. Set boundaries. Choose specific times for social media. Unfollow or mute accounts that consistently make you feel inadequate. Curate your feed intentionally, following accounts that inspire, educate, and empower you. Your attention is your most valuable resource. Protect it. Let's dig into a real-life example. Imagine 2 entrepreneurs, Sarah and Lisa. Sarah sees Lisa's Instagram full of luxury vacations, awards, and business success. Sarah feels discouraged, thinking her efforts aren't enough. But in reality, Lisa works 14-hour days, struggles with debt, faces constant rejection, and has sacrificed countless nights of sleep. All Sarah sees is the highlight reel, and her brain tricks her into thinking she's failing. When Sarah reframes her thinking, acknowledging Lisa's struggles and focusing on her own growth, she regains control, motivation, and clarity. Now, let's make this deeply personal. Reflect on the areas of your life where social comparison hits hardest. Maybe it's career, relationships, fitness, or finances. Recognize the emotional patterns: anxiety, jealousy, frustration, or guilt. Then, apply the highlight reel mindset. What are the things people don't show you? What struggles, failures, or mistakes are hidden behind their polished image? The moment you internalize this, the pressure drops. You see your life as yours, not in comparison to someone else. And here's a key secret: your own journey is more valuable than anyone else's highlight reel. Every step you take, every skill you build, every small victory is yours alone. No one can replicate it. No one can measure it. When you stop comparing, you can finally focus on what truly matters: your growth, your purpose, your happiness. Let's add another powerful dimension: gratitude and self-celebration. Take a moment daily to reflect on your behind-the-scenes victories, the challenges you overcame, the effort you invested, the moments where you persisted when no one was watching. Writing these down, acknowledging them, and celebrating them rewires your brain for abundance instead of scarcity. It reminds you that your life is full of value, even if social media doesn't show it. Here's a practical structure to implement daily. Morning reflection. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Include one behind-the-scenes accomplishment that no one else knows about. Social media audit. Spend 10 minutes reviewing your feed. Identify posts that trigger comparison and reframe your response. Evening reflection. Note 3 moments of progress you made during the day, however small. Celebrate them privately. By consistently practicing these steps, you build mental immunity against the comparison trap. Social media loses its power to dictate your self-worth. You begin to operate from a place of confidence, clarity, and authenticity. Finally, remember this: life is not a competition, it's a creation. You're not here to replicate someone else's highlight reel. You are here to build your own reality, step by step, moment by moment. Every struggle, every failure, every effort contributes to your unique masterpiece. When you embrace this truth, when you internalize that your value is independent of curated images, you unlock freedom. You free yourself from 90% of the pressure that social media imposes, and you reclaim your time, energy, and self-worth. Because the ultimate lesson of this chapter is simple yet profound. Your life is not about competing with anyone else. It's about honoring your own journey. It's about valuing your growth, your struggles, and your wins, both seen and unseen. And once you embrace this truth, every post you scroll past becomes an opportunity to learn, not to judge, to be inspired, not to envy, to grow, not to despair. When you stop comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, you unlock the secret to a peaceful, confident, and fulfilled life. You reclaim your focus, your energy, and your true potential. And in that space, my friend, you finally begin to thrive, not by the measure of others, but by the measure of your own authentic, unstoppable growth. Chapter 3. The only person you're allowed to compare yourself to. For as long as you can remember, society has told you a simple, yet deadly lie: that your worth is measured by how you stack up against other people. Your classmates, your colleagues, your neighbors, your friends on social media. They're the invisible rulers by which your brain secretly measures your success, your beauty, your intelligence, and your happiness. And what happens when you measure yourself this way? You feel inadequate. You feel small. You feel like you're constantly behind, even when you're doing perfectly fine. Here's the twist: all of this pressure, all of this anxiety, all of this self-doubt, none of it needs to exist. Because there is only one person in the entire world you are ever allowed to compare yourself to. And that person is not your colleague, not your neighbor, not your friend, and not the influencer with 1 million followers on Instagram. That person is yesterday's version of you. Yes, the truth is both simple and revolutionary. Every time you find yourself measuring your worth against someone else, stop, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, am I comparing myself to the only person that matters? The person I was yesterday? When you do this, your entire perspective changes. Suddenly, you're not in a race against anyone else. You're not competing for approval, recognition, or status. You are competing with one person and one person only, yourself. Let's break this down. Imagine your life as a staircase. Each day you climb a step, even a small one, you are growing. If today you are more patient than yesterday, more disciplined, more courageous, or more kind, you are winning. Every small improvement compounds over time. Comparing yourself to others may make you feel discouraged because you are measuring your behind the scenes against someone else's highlight reel. But when you measure against yourself, every day becomes a victory. Every step forward counts. Every lesson learned is progress. Here's a powerful example. Let's say last year, you struggled to wake up early, to stick to a fitness routine, or to focus on your career. Today, even if you aren't perfect, you wake up earlier, you follow through with more consistency, and you take actionable steps toward your goals. If you compare yourself to someone else who is further ahead, you might feel discouraged. But when you compare yourself to your past self, you see undeniable growth. You see progress. You see transformation. And that is infinitely more motivating than envy ever could be. Now, here's where it gets even more profound. This principle doesn't just work for personal goals. It works for every aspect of your life: relationships, finances, health, learning, and even emotional intelligence. By focusing solely on your own journey, you stop wasting energy on jealousy, resentment, and self-criticism. You reclaim your time, your focus, and your mental energy. You begin to live life on your terms. You begin to unlock the potential that has always been inside of you. Let's talk about how to implement this mindset in practical ways. Start with these steps. Daily reflection. At the end of each day, write down 3 ways you improved compared to yesterday. Did you handle a difficult situation with more patience? Did you take 1 extra step toward a goal? Did you practice self-discipline where before you might have given in? These reflections will anchor your growth in reality, not comparison. Weekly review. Every week, review your progress. Notice patterns, small victories, and lessons learned. Celebrate wins privately. Recognize improvements in character, skill, and mindset. By focusing on yourself, you shift the measurement from external validation to internal mastery. Monthly goal alignment. Set small, actionable goals that push your limits. These goals should be measured by your own progress, not anyone else's timeline. Did you write 10 pages this month compared to 5 last month? Did you exercise 3 times a week instead of once? Did you speak up in a situation where previously you stayed silent? Track these wins and reward yourself. Here's an even deeper insight. Comparison with others is an addiction disguised as ambition. When you constantly measure yourself against someone else, your brain craves validation, approval, and recognition. Social media, advertisements, and societal pressures are all triggers that reinforce this cycle. You feel temporary spikes of satisfaction when you see that someone is behind you or when you match someone else's achievements, but it never lasts. True satisfaction comes only from personal growth and self-mastery, and that begins when you make yesterday's your standard. Now imagine your life if you truly adopted this mindset. No more envy, no more guilt, no more feeling less than because someone else seems to have it all. Your focus shifts entirely to becoming the best version of yourself, consistently improving and living intentionally. This mindset is not just empowering, it's life-changing. Every decision you make becomes aligned with growth. Every challenge becomes a stepping stone instead of a setback. Every day becomes a chance to beat yesterday's version of yourself. Let's make this real and relatable. Think of an athlete, artist, or entrepreneur you admire. They didn't reach their level by comparing themselves to the people around them. They reached it by measuring progress against their own past performance. The artist practiced every day, imperfectly, but consistently. The entrepreneur learned from mistakes, iterated, and improved. The athlete trained relentlessly, pushing beyond personal limits. In each case, the benchmark was always themselves. Their secret: they stopped letting others define their worth. Here's another practical exercise for you. Visualize your personal scoreboard. Imagine a list of skills, habits, and qualities that matter to you. Discipline, kindness, focus, creativity, patience. Every day, score yourself honestly compared to yesterday. Did you improve in any area? Even slightly? Give yourself credit. Over time, this internal scoreboard becomes far more motivating than external competition. Now, let's address a common challenge. Many people fear they are falling behind because someone else seems to be achieving more. But here's the truth: life is not linear. Your journey is unique, with twists, turns, setbacks, and leaps forward that nobody else experiences. Comparing your trajectory to someone else's is like comparing a river to the ocean. They followed different paths, but both reached their destinations in their own time. And here's the ultimate lesson: you are the only person you should ever compete with. Your growth is the metric that matters. Your improvement, your resilience, your learning, and your courage define your worth, not anyone else's achievements. Every time you beat yesterday's version of yourself, you win. Every time you act with integrity, focus, and persistence, you win. Every day you prioritize growth over comparison, you win. Let's talk about why this approach transforms lives. When you stop comparing yourself to others, you reclaim confidence, peace of mind, and clarity. You no longer waste energy chasing approval or mimicking someone else's life. You begin to operate from a place of authenticity, integrity, and purpose. You start making choices that are aligned with your vision, rather than reacting to societal pressures. You unlock a sense of freedom that many spend their entire lives chasing, but never experience. Here's a concrete strategy for long-term adoption. Track 3 metrics each day that reflect your personal growth. These can be emotional, like patience or resilience; physical, like consistency and exercise; intellectual, like learning a new skill. The key is that these metrics are self-referenced. You are measuring against your own previous performance, not someone else's success. Over weeks, months, and years, these small, deliberate improvements compound into extraordinary growth. And here's the mind-blowing realization: the moment you fully internalize this truth, life becomes simpler. You no longer feel inadequate when someone else succeeds. You no longer chase external validation. You no longer fear falling behind. You live in a state of continuous improvement, authentic growth, and unstoppable momentum. Because at the end of the day, the only person you're allowed to compare yourself to is you. Yesterday's you, last month's you, last year's you. All the victories, lessons, and growth you achieve are real, measurable, and undeniable. All the comparison, envy, and pressure from others are illusions. And once you embrace this mindset, everything changes. You become unstoppable. You become fulfilled. You become the architect of your own potential. And that, my friend, is the life-changing secret hidden in this chapter. The one principle that, if practiced consistently, can transform your life, your mindset, and your future forever. Chapter 4. Rewriting your internal scoreboard. Imagine a world where no one else has the power to define your success. Imagine measuring your life, your growth, and your achievements by a standard that is entirely yours. An internal scoreboard that nobody else can touch, manipulate, or judge. This is not a dream. This is not wishful thinking. This is a mindset, a practice, and a skill that can be learned, mastered, and applied in every aspect of your life. The reality is this. Right now, most people's sense of success is determined externally. They measure their lives by promotions, social media likes, the size of their paycheck, or by comparing themselves to peers. They set standards dictated by society, culture, and fleeting trends. And the consequence? A constant feeling of inadequacy, anxiety, and stress. They are trapped in a system where their self-worth is a reflection of others' opinions, rather than a measure of their own growth. It's time to break free. The moment you decide to rewrite your internal scoreboard, you take back control of your life. You shift the definition of success from external approval to personal achievement, from comparison to progress, from temporary satisfaction to lasting fulfillment. And the best part, nobody else can influence this scoreboard unless you allow it. Let's start by understanding why an internal scoreboard is necessary. Your brain craves feedback. It needs to measure whether you are winning or losing, whether you are good enough or falling behind. Most people allow external markers to satisfy this craving. Social media, workplace recognition, awards, public validation, they all act as points on someone else's scoreboard. But when you rely on external validation, you are constantly at the mercy of forces outside your control. One slight setback, one ignored message, one post that goes unnoticed, and suddenly your self-worth plummets. The internal scoreboard works differently. It is built from self-awareness, personal growth, and intentional metrics that reflect what truly matters to you. It is a system designed by you, for you, and it cannot be invalidated by someone else's success, judgment, or opinion. This is the scoreboard that measures not what you have, but who you are becoming. Here's how you begin rewriting it. Start by identifying the areas of life that truly matter to you. These can include discipline and consistency, creativity and problem solving, emotional resilience, kindness and compassion, health and vitality, learning and knowledge growth. Once you identify these areas, define specific, measurable, and trackable metrics for each. For example, if you value discipline, your metric could be, did I complete my daily goals without procrastination? If you value creativity, your metric could be, did I generate new ideas or solutions today? The goal is to create a scoreboard where each point is earned by your actions, your effort, and your growth, not by comparison to someone else. Let's make this actionable. Every evening, take a few minutes to score your day. Reflect on your progress in each area. Ask yourself, did I act in alignment with my values? Did I challenge myself to grow? Did I contribute positively to others? Did I learn something new? Assign points honestly. Even if you fall short in one area, recognize the small wins in another. This process rewires your brain to seek fulfillment from your own standards, not from fleeting external validation. Over time, this internal scoreboard becomes a habit, a compass, and a measure of true success. Here's a critical insight. Your internal scoreboard transforms failure into feedback. Traditional measures of success make failure painful because it is measured against someone else's achievements. Internal measurement reframes failure. A setback becomes data. A mistake becomes insight. You no longer feel less than because someone else achieved more. Instead, you ask, how can I improve tomorrow? What did I learn from this experience? Now, let's dive into the psychology behind this. Your brain responds to feedback. Every time you check an external metric, dopamine spikes. Likes, promotions, recognition, they all trigger temporary pleasure. But they also create dependency. You chase approval instead of growth. Your internal scoreboard, however, activates intrinsic motivation. Every point earned on your personal scoreboard releases satisfaction rooted in mastery, competence, and self-respect. Unlike external markers, this satisfaction is sustainable, controllable, and empowering. Here's a practical example. Imagine two people learning a new skill, say, playing the guitar. Person measure success by comparing themselves to the most skilled guitarists online. Every mistake feels like failure. Every practice session feels insufficient. Person B, however, measures success against their previous practice sessions. Each improvement, hitting a chord correctly, mastering a rhythm, is a point earned. Person B experiences motivation, growth, and satisfaction every day. Which person do you think will continue practicing consistently for years? The answer is clear. Internal scoring transforms effort into joy, and joy into mastery. Let's make it personal. Think about your life. Where do you currently allow others to define your success? Is it at work, in relationships, in health, or in social circles? Make a list. Acknowledge every place where you rely on external approval. Then, for each area, create a metric you can control. Your metric might be completing tasks on time, work, responding with empathy, relationships, maintaining daily exercise, health, reading and learning for 30 minutes, knowledge growth. This is your first step toward building a scoreboard that nobody else can touch. It is measurable, actionable, and completely within your control. Now, let's talk about long-term implementation. Building an internal scoreboard is not a one-time exercise. It's a lifelong practice. Each day, record points. Each week, review patterns. Adjust your metrics as your values evolve. Over months and years, you will witness profound transformation. The internal scoreboard becomes more than a tool. It becomes your mindset, your lifestyle, your foundation for confidence and resilience. Another key insight: the internal scoreboard allows for self-compassion and realistic expectations. Unlike external metrics, it does not demand perfection. It values effort over outcomes. It celebrates persistence over immediate success. By focusing on progress, you develop patience, resilience, and a healthy sense of achievement. You learn to forgive yourself, adapt, and continue growing. Here's a transformative exercise. Visualize your internal scoreboard as a glowing board in your mind. Each point you earn illuminates your growth, your effort, and your mastery. Each day, notice which areas are bright and which need more attention. This visualization reinforces the habit, making your internal scoring system tangible, engaging, and deeply motivating. Let's explore a practical scenario in relationships. Often, people measure success by how others treat them, how loved or appreciated they feel. With an internal scoreboard, success is measured by your actions, values, and contributions. Did you communicate clearly? Did you act with kindness? Did you maintain your integrity? By measuring yourself, not others, you gain peace, confidence, and control over outcomes that were previously dictated by others. Here's another powerful application: career growth. Instead of obsessing over promotions, titles, or comparisons with colleagues, measure your internal growth. Did you learn a new skill? Did you handle challenges with composure? Did you improve efficiency or communication? Internal scoring creates a roadmap of self-improvement that is far more meaningful than any external recognition. And here's the ultimate lesson: when you rewrite your internal scoreboard, you redefine success entirely. You no longer chase validation. You no longer fear comparison. You no longer allow setbacks to define your worth. Every action, every effort, every step toward personal growth becomes measurable, meaningful, and empowering. Because at the core of this chapter is a life-changing truth. Your worth is defined by your progress, your effort, and your growth, not by the opinions, achievements, or approval of others. The moment you fully internalize this, your mindset shifts. Motivation becomes intrinsic. Fulfillment becomes consistent. Confidence becomes unshakable. And the external world, with its endless comparisons and pressures, loses all power over your happiness. Chapter 5. The hidden power of being ordinary. It's actually extraordinary. When you hear the word ordinary, what comes to mind? Perhaps you think of mediocrity, blandness, or being stuck in the background while others shine. You might feel a flicker of fear, a whisper that says, I don't want to be ordinary. I want to stand out. I want to be exceptional. But here's the surprising truth. The very thing you fear, the state of being ordinary, is often the hidden foundation of extraordinary success. It's a paradox that top performers, elite thinkers, and innovators have discovered, and it's a secret rarely talked about openly. Most people chase being exceptional prematurely. They look at influencers, CEOs, celebrities, or social media stars, and think they need to emulate them to be worthy. They stretch themselves too thin, seeking attention, recognition, and status without first mastering the basics. They want fame without discipline, success without structure, and recognition without consistency. This is the trap of premature exceptionalism, and it leads to burnout, frustration, and dissatisfaction. Being ordinary, in the right sense, is extraordinary because it allows you to build a foundation in peace, focus, and consistency. Ordinary is not mediocre. Ordinary is practicing the fundamentals, day in and day out, while the world obsesses with shortcuts, trends, and instant validation. Ordinary is showing up when no one is watching. Ordinary is honing your craft quietly, mastering yourself internally, and letting results accumulate naturally over time. Think about the top performers you admire: athletes, artists, writers, business leaders. They did not start at the top. They started with ordinary routines, waking up early, practicing relentlessly, embracing repetition, learning from failures, and improving gradually. Ordinary habits compound into extraordinary outcomes. Every champion was once ordinary, and it was their mastery of ordinary that set them apart. Let's explore why ordinary is powerful. Consistency is the key. Extraordinary outcomes are rarely the result of sudden bursts of brilliance. They are the product of repeated, deliberate actions. Ordinary work done consistently over months, years, and decades yields results that are far beyond the sporadic bursts of extraordinary effort most people attempt. Think about the writer who writes 500 words daily, the entrepreneur who dedicates an hour every morning to improving their craft, or the athlete who trains daily with focus and discipline. Each day may feel ordinary, yet over time, it creates mastery that seems miraculous to outsiders. Here's another important principle. Being ordinary protects your mental energy. When you're trying to be exceptional all the time, you burn out quickly. You compare yourself to everyone, chase validation, and spread yourself too thin. But when you embrace ordinary, focused, intentional, consistent work, you conserve energy. You direct it toward meaningful growth rather than external approval. You build momentum quietly, steadily, and powerfully. Let's make this practical. To harness the hidden power of ordinary, start with daily rituals that are simple but impactful. Morning mastery. Begin your day with a routine that primes your mind and body. Meditation, journaling, light exercise, or focused learning. Small, ordinary habits set the tone for extraordinary days. Skill stacking. Dedicate consistent, focused time to one skill at a time. Instead of chasing multiple flashy achievements, master one area deeply. Ordinary repetition creates mastery. Reflective practice. End your day by reviewing wins, mistakes, and lessons. Ordinary reflection compounds into extraordinary wisdom over time. Here's a real-life example. Consider the musician who practiced scales for hours before ever playing a song publicly. Most people would call this boring or ordinary, but that ordinary work built precision, speed, and intuition. Eventually, when the world saw their performance, it appeared effortless, extraordinary, and magical. What they didn't see was the countless ordinary hours behind the scenes, the invisible foundation of greatness. Another critical lesson: being ordinary allows for resilience. When you chase the spotlight prematurely, criticism, setbacks, or slow progress can destroy confidence. But ordinary work teaches patience, humility, and endurance. It's in repetition, in daily effort, and in embracing process over recognition that resilience grows. Ordinary work prepares you mentally for extraordinary results. Now, let's talk about the counterintuitive secret top performers swear by. They intentionally embrace ordinary to accelerate extraordinary growth. They don't rush, they don't compare excessively, and they don't seek constant validation. Instead, they focus on internal standards, disciplined routines, and incremental improvement. By mastering ordinary, they quietly outperform those chasing immediate recognition. Here's a practical framework to apply this. Foundation phase. Focus on ordinary habits, daily practices, and basic skill mastery. Don't chase fame or external accolades. Consistency phase. Track your actions, score your efforts against your own progress, and refine routines. Ordinary actions become habitual. Breakthrough phase. Over time, ordinary actions compound. Momentum builds. Skills become mastery. The extraordinary emerges naturally from ordinary effort. Let's also discuss mindset shifts. Society tells us to stand out, to be special, to be noticed. But extraordinary success is rarely about being noticed. It's about being competent, disciplined, and reliable. It's about showing up consistently, focusing on your craft, and building quietly. By embracing ordinary, you free yourself from comparison, envy, and the constant pressure to perform for approval. You start performing for mastery, fulfillment, and growth, the truest forms of achievement. Here's another compelling perspective. Ordinary work builds trust and reliability. In relationships, in business, and in creative endeavors, people value consistency far more than flashy brilliance. Someone who delivers quality work steadily is far more respected than someone who shines sporadically. Ordinary excellence compounds into extraordinary reputation. Let's make this deeply personal. Reflect on your life and areas where you are chasing extraordinary prematurely. Are you comparing yourself to someone else's highlight reel? Are you skipping fundamentals for instant recognition? Identify one ordinary habit you can embrace consistently. Maybe it's writing daily, exercising regularly, or learning a skill incrementally. Commit to it. Practice it with discipline. Over time, the extraordinary results will appear silently, steadily, and powerfully. Another practical exercise is tracking ordinary wins. Every evening, write down the small, ordinary things you accomplished. Did you stick to a habit? Did you improve a skill? Did you take a step toward a goal? These ordinary wins compound into extraordinary outcomes over weeks, months, and years. Here's the life-changing truth. Ordinary is not mediocre. Ordinary is the quiet engine of extraordinary results. Ordinary work done consistently builds resilience, skill, mastery, and confidence. Ordinary effort compounded over time produces outcomes that look magical to outsiders, but are grounded in discipline and patience. Consider the story of countless top performers. They did not start with extraordinary talent or immediate recognition. They started with ordinary habits, showing up daily, practicing relentlessly, learning from mistakes, and improving incrementally. Over time, their ordinary actions became extraordinary results. This principle applies to all areas of life: career, relationships, health, creativity, and personal development. And here's the final, empowering insight. You have permission to be ordinary. You don't need to chase comparison, status, or validation. You only need to embrace daily effort, focus, and consistency. When you do, the extraordinary naturally follows. Your life becomes measured by growth, progress, and mastery, not fleeting external recognition. Your internal scoreboard becomes unshakable. Your potential becomes limitless. The moment you fully embrace the hidden power of being ordinary, everything changes. Pressure fades. Comparison loses power. Confidence grows. Mastery emerges. And the extraordinary life you once thought required luck, talent, or recognition is built quietly, steadily, and invisibly through the power of ordinary action. Because the ultimate secret of top performers, the hidden key to success that nobody talks about openly, is this: ordinary is extraordinary. Ordinary is the foundation. Ordinary is the path. And ordinary, when mastered consistently, produces results that awe the world. Chapter 6. From poison to power. Turn envy into inspiration in minutes. Envy is a small word, yet it carries a massive weight inside the human mind. It moves quietly, silently, creeping into your thoughts when someone else wins, someone else shines, someone else achieves something you deeply desire. It shows up in the scroll of social media, in friendships you care about, in the work you do, and in the dreams you keep buried. It whispers to you, "Why not me? Why are they ahead? Why am I behind?" But what if I told you something that completely transforms the way you see envy? What if I told you that envy is not your enemy? What if I told you that envy is one of the greatest internal signals you will ever receive? A compass pointing toward your true desires. Because the truth is simple. Envy is desire wearing a disguise. Envy is your future potential knocking on your door, begging for your attention. Envy is your higher self tapping your shoulder and saying, "Look closely. You want this because you are capable of this." The problem has never been envy itself. The real problem is your misunderstanding of envy. Most people think envy means something is wrong with them. But envy is not weakness. Envy is not insecurity. Envy is direction. Confident people understand this. While most people let envy poison them, confident people turn envy into power. They take the exact same emotion and convert it into momentum. This chapter teaches you how to do the same. You feel envy only when someone has something aligned with your hidden desires. You don't envy a billionaire's yacht unless a part of you wants that lifestyle. You don't envy someone becoming a doctor unless that dream exists somewhere in your desire map. But when someone becomes a successful creator and your stomach tightens, when someone transforms their body and something inside you stings, when someone travels, builds a business, wins an award, buys a home, or gets an opportunity you wish was yours, that reaction isn't failure. That reaction is information. That reaction is clarity. That reaction is direction. Envy is evidence. Evidence of a life you want. Evidence of the potential you're ignoring. Evidence of a version of yourself you haven't unlocked yet. That is why confident people don't suppress envy. They study it. They learn from it. They turn it into fuel. Envy hurts not because someone else succeeded. Envy hurts because your brain interprets it as someone moving closer to something that matters deeply to you. Your mind whispers, "They have what I want, and I don't have it yet." The pain is not about their success. It's about your self-expectation. Envy exposes the gap between where you are and where you believe you should already be. And that is why envy is so powerful. Because if envy is created inside you, then you have the power to transform it. Confident people use one simple mindset flip to instantly turn envy into power. Instead of asking, "Why not me?" they ask, "What is this showing me about myself?" They don't view another person's success as a threat. They view it as a mirror. Envy becomes a map. Envy becomes a direction. Envy becomes a message. It's the universe saying, "You are capable of this too." That's why it affects you. That's why it moves you. That's why it doesn't leave you neutral. When confident people feel envy, they don't run from it. They lean into it. They ask, "What exactly am I envying? What desire is hiding under this feeling? What can I learn from the person I'm envying?" What does their success reveal about my own potential? Envy becomes a teacher, not a toxin. Imagine two people scrolling through social media. Both see someone buying their dream car. Person A feels envy and lets it poison them. They think life is unfair. They think the other person got lucky. They think they will never have something like that. They close their phone discouraged, and their energy drops, their belief drops, and their motivation drops. Person B feels envy too, but they respond completely differently. They think, if they can do it, it means it's possible. Let me learn from them. Let me study what they did. Let me move 1% closer today. Person B uses envy as fuel. Person A uses envy as poison. And their destinies split right there. Not because one is more talented, but because one understood envy and one didn't. This is why the next time envy hits you, you must pause and remember this. Envy is desire disguised as discomfort. Envy is not the opposite of confidence. Envy is the first step to confidence if you listen to it correctly. Envy says, you want this. You're capable of this. You are being shown what is possible. You are being guided toward your potential. It is your future self calling you. Don't block the call. Answer it. There is a simple 3-step method to transform envy into power. Step 1. Identify the exact source of envy. When envy hits you, don't react emotionally. Observe it like a scientist. What exactly are you envying? Is it freedom, discipline, money, confidence, lifestyle, creativity, opportunities? When you name the envy, you tame the envy. Step 2. Decode the hidden desire. If you envy someone's business, it means you want independence. If you envy someone's fitness, it means you desire confidence. If you envy someone's travel lifestyle, it means you crave freedom or adventure. Envy shines a spotlight on your deepest desires. Step 3. Turn envy into a micro-action. Confidence is built through action, not emotion. If you envy someone's physique, do 10 push-ups. If you envy their success, spend 10 minutes learning a skill. If you envy someone's creativity, write or create something right now. Every moment of envy becomes either insecurity or transformation. You choose. Confident people are not immune to envy. They have simply mastered it. They turn envy into motivation, into admiration, into proof that success is possible. If someone else has something you want, it means it exists. It means it's achievable. It means you can work toward it. Envy becomes inspiration. Jealousy becomes direction. Desire becomes action. Action becomes confidence. Imagine if every time you felt envy, you grew instead of shrank. Envy highlights your desires, your potential, your values, and your direction. Envy is a flashlight pointing toward your future. Follow it. You build envy immunity, not by eliminating envy, but by eliminating its power over you. You build immunity by studying your envy, journaling the desires behind it, celebrating every small action you take after feeling it, tracking your progress weekly, and comparing yourself only to who you were yesterday. In a few weeks, something incredible happens. Envy no longer hurts you. It energizes you. It empowers you. It guides you. That is true transformation. Your entire life, people have told you envy is bad. Envy is toxic. Envy is negative. But envy is neutral. You decide whether it becomes poison or power. You decide whether it destroys your motivation or ignites it. You decide whether it makes you bitter or makes you better. Envy is energy. Energy that wants to move you forward. Energy that wants to wake you up. Energy that wants to push you toward your potential. When used correctly, envy becomes a powerful tool for growth. Because envy is not a threat, it is a message. A message saying, this is who you could become. Listen, learn, move. Chapter 7, Your Unique Advantage. The gifts only you bring to the world. Discover what makes you literally unrepeatable. Every single day, billions of people wake up and step into a world where they immediately begin comparing themselves to someone else. someone more successful, someone more attractive, someone more confident, someone more talented, someone more popular, someone who looks like they already figured life out while they are still trying to understand where to even begin. But the truth that no one teaches you is that comparison is the fastest way to forget your own value, your own story, your own potential, and the unique gift that only you, yes you, bring to this world, because you're not here to be a copy. You are not here to chase someone else's shadow, and you are absolutely not here to replay someone else's purpose. You are here because there is something inside you that cannot be duplicated, replaced, or imitated by anyone else who has ever lived. And this chapter is your reminder, your wake-up call, your reset button, your return to the truth you have forgotten. You are literally unrepeatable. Think for a moment about the millions of small, invisible things that make you who you are. Your instincts, your memories, your traumas, your scars, your victories, your failures, your heartbreaks, your beliefs, your fears, your strengths, your weird habits, your quiet desires, your loud dreams, your way of thinking, your way of solving problems, your way of learning, your way of speaking, your way of observing life. All of these things combine to create something that does not exist in any other human being on this planet. And yet, because you live inside your own body and mind every day, you think you are ordinary. You think you are nothing special. You think you need to be more like someone else to matter. But the truth is the opposite. The more you try to become someone else, the more you destroy the exact advantage you were born with. Your uniqueness is not an accident. Your mind is not an accident. Your story is not an accident. Everything you have lived, every moment of confusion, every setback, every failure, every experience that made you question your worth, was actually shaping a perspective no one else could ever develop. This is why comparing yourself is not just harmful. It is a complete misunderstanding of who you truly are. You compare your weaknesses to someone else's strengths without realizing that your strengths lie in the places you have been underestimating for years. When you stop comparing, something shifts inside you. Your voice gets clearer, your purpose gets louder, and your path becomes visible in front of you like a road that was always there, but you never had the courage to walk. And let me tell you the truth that most people never hear. Your unique advantage is not something you must create. It is something you must reveal. It is already there. It is buried under social pressure, under insecurity, under fear, under doubt, under the belief that you are not enough. But your life has been giving you clues the whole time. The things that come easily to you, but are hard for others. The activities that make you lose track of time. The problems people ask you for help with. The traits people admire in you, even when you pretend not to notice. The emotions you feel deeply. The subjects you obsess about. The passions you cannot ignore. The ideas that visit your mind again and again. These are not random. These are signals. These are reminders. These are hints pointing toward the gifts only you bring to the world. Think about this carefully. Your unique advantage often hides in the places you overlook because they feel normal to you. But they are not normal. They are natural to you because they belong to you. Others struggle with what you do effortlessly. Others get confused by what you understand naturally. Others get anxious in situations where you become stronger. But because you see these abilities every day, you assume they do not matter. You assume everyone can do what you can. But no, they cannot. That is your advantage. That is your difference. That is your gift. And here's the part that people rarely admit. Many of your gifts were born out of pain. Your empathy came from the times you felt alone. Your strength came from the moments you were forced to survive. Your patience came from every situation that tested your limits. Your wisdom came from every mistake you thought broke you. Your courage came from the nights you cried but still got up the next morning. Your resilience came from every chapter of your life where giving up would have been easier, but you didn't. These experiences did not damage your potential. They shaped it. They gave you an advantage no textbook, no mentor, no school, no course could ever teach you. They gave you insight. They gave you depth. They gave you awareness. And these things are priceless. They make you stand out in a world where almost everyone is trying to hide behind filters, masks, and fake confidence. You don't need to be like anyone else. You need to become more of who you are. You need to understand that the world has enough copies, enough clones, enough imitations. What it does not have is another you. And here's the truth. Your unique advantage becomes unstoppable the moment you stop apologizing for it. Stop minimizing yourself. Stop pretending you're not gifted. Stop acting like your voice doesn't matter. Stop shrinking your potential because others feel uncomfortable when you rise. Stop dimming your light because someone else is afraid of brightness. Stop comparing your page 1 to someone else's page 50. Stop judging yourself based on standards that were never meant for you. Your power begins when you finally accept that you are different and that your difference is your destiny. You become dangerous the moment you realize that there is something you can do better than anyone else. Not because you are superior, but because you are uniquely designed for it. And what if I told you that your unique advantage is not just about talent, but also about energy? The way you feel, the way you inspire, the way you connect, the way you show up. These things cannot be copied, cannot be stolen, cannot be replicated. Someone can copy your style, your ideas, your work, your methods, but they can never copy your energy. That is why people gravitate towards certain individuals without even knowing why. Energy is your signature. Energy is your identity. Energy is your fingerprint in the world. And when you stop comparing, your energy grows, evolves, strengthens. You become someone people can feel even before they hear your words. And when that happens, you stop chasing opportunities and opportunities start chasing you. That is the power of embracing your unique advantage. It changes everything. It changes how you think, how you act, how you speak, how you work, how you love, how you live. It changes the entire direction of your life because it shifts your attention from others back to yourself. And here's the ultimate truth. The moment you stop comparing yourself to others, you unlock the ability to finally compete with the only person that matters, yourself. You stop trying to be better than someone else, and you start trying to become the strongest, smartest, most resilient, most capable, most powerful version of the person you were yesterday. And that is the only competition worth winning. So hear me clearly. Your unique advantage is not waiting for you in someone else's life. It is not waiting in jealousy. It is not waiting in comparison. It is not waiting in perfection. It is waiting inside you, right now, ready to be activated the moment you finally understand that the world does not need another version of someone else. It needs the full, unapologetic, unstoppable version of you. You were born with something only you can give. Do not waste your life trying to trade it for someone else's gift. Own your uniqueness. Embrace your difference. Protect your individuality. And never again forget the truth. You are literally unrepeatable, and the world is waiting for what only you can do. Chapter 8: The 30-Day Comparison Detox Challenge. This is your 30-day comparison detox challenge. A challenge designed not just to help you stop comparing yourself to others, but to help you finally meet the version of yourself that has been waiting behind years of self-doubt, hesitation, insecurity, and noise. This is not a normal chapter. This is a reset button for your entire identity, a 30-day journey that thousands before you have already used to reclaim their power, shift their mindset, and unlock a level of clarity and inner strength they never thought possible. And if you commit, if you take this seriously, if you do not quit halfway, you will emerge from these 30 days feeling like a completely different human being, less reactive, more grounded, more confident, more purposeful, and finally living in alignment with your own path instead of drowning in someone else's highlight reel. And it all starts right now with day 1, where you make the simple but life-altering promise to yourself. For the next 30 days, I am choosing my life over their life, my growth over their progress, my direction over their distractions. Because the first step to ending comparison is awareness, the courage to notice when you're scrolling out of habit, when you're measuring your life by someone else's milestones, when you're allowing their journey to define your worth. And in day one, you catch yourself in the act and whisper, "Not today." While day two is where you declutter your digital world by unfollowing or muting every account that consistently triggers insecurity, jealousy, or self-doubt. Not because those people are bad, but because your mental environment shapes your mental strength. And if your feed is filled with reminders of what you should be but aren't yet, your brain will always feel late, behind, or unworthy. So you clear it out, you clean your digital room, and suddenly the air feels lighter. Day three is where you redefine success for yourself, writing down exactly what you want your life to look like, your goals, your values, your priorities, because comparison only exists when you don't know where you're going. And when you do know, other people's paths stop distracting you. Day four is where you identify your comparison triggers, the people, platforms, situations, or achievements that make you feel small, and you write them down because naming the enemy weakens the enemy. Day five is where you shift your morning routine by banning your phone for the first 30 minutes after waking up, because the first thing you see programs your emotional state for the entire day, and you choose silence, clarity, and intention instead of noise. Day six is where you practice micro wins, the small daily actions that build your confidence from the inside out. Flossing, 5 push-ups, drinking water, reading 1 page, because tiny victories accumulate in an unstoppable momentum. Day 7 is where you reflect on your week, noticing every moment when comparison tried to steal your peace, and you write down how you handled it so that your awareness sharpens. Then day 8 arrives, your identity day, where you write, "I am becoming the person who," and complete the sentence 10 times, because your identity shapes your habits shape your progress, and your progress eliminates comparison more effectively than any motivational quote. Day 9 is where you create your comparison interrupt phrase, a mental pattern breaker like "stay in your lane," "this is not my race," or "their chapter 20 isn't my chapter 1. A phrase you'll use whenever your mind wanders into envy territory. Day 10 is about gratitude, not the cliche kind, but the deep, grounded, specific gratitude that rewires your brain to focus on what you have instead of what you lack. And tonight before sleep, you'll write down 3 very specific things you're grateful for, details, not generalities, because gratitude and comparison cannot exist in the mind at the same time. Day 11 focuses on skill building, picking one skill that matters to your life's direction and spending just 10 minutes improving it, because skills build competence, competence builds confidence, and confidence kills comparison. Day 12 is about evaluating your environment, your friends, your influences, your conversations, and asking, who makes me feel inspired and who makes me feel inferior? Because some people activate your potential and some activate your insecurity. Day 13 is where you take a social media fast for at least 6 hours straight, creating space for your mind to breathe. Day 14 marks the halfway point, where you look back at everything you've done and realize that your mind is already lighter, more aware, more self-guided. Day 15 is a challenge within the challenge, where you choose one area of your life you've been delaying because of comparison, starting your fitness journey, launching something creative, applying for something intimidating, and you do one action today, no matter how small. Day 16 is your comparison detox journaling day, where you dump everything on paper, your fears, your insecurities, your frustrations, because expression releases pressure. Day 17 is your mirror day, looking into your reflection and speaking one truth about yourself out loud, despite how uncomfortable it may feel. Day 18 focuses on celebrating someone else's success without feeling threatened by it, because admiration is comparison healed. Day 19 is your simplicity day where you remove one unnecessary expectation from your life. One pressure, one habit, one mental burden. Day 20 is where you track your progress and notice that you compare yourself less than you did 2 weeks ago. Day 21 introduces the No Judgment Challenge, where you go the entire day without judging others, because the mind that constantly evaluates others is the same mind that constantly evaluates itself. Day 22 teaches you the 2-year rule, imagining where you could be in 2 years if you stopped comparing and started building, visualizing your future self with clarity. Day 23 pushes you into discomfort, intentionally doing one thing that scares you, because self-comparison thrives in comfort zones and weakens in action. Day 24 is your silence day, where you spend 20 minutes unplugged from the world, allowing your mind to settle into itself. Day 25 is your creativity day, where you make something, anything, a sentence, a sketch, an idea, because creativity reconnects you to your inner world. Day 26 challenges you to define what makes you unique, listing 20 things no one else has in the exact same combination, traits, experiences, perspectives, because uniqueness destroys comparison. Day 27 is your forgiveness day, forgiving yourself for every mistake, delay, insecurity, and moment of weakness, because the past cannot be changed, but your relationship with it can. Day 28 is your alignment day, where you correct the small ways you've been living out of alignment with your values. Day 29 is your confidence day, where you acknowledge how much you've grown and how differently you see yourself. And finally, day 30, the breakthrough day, the day you look in the mirror and say with full honesty, I am no longer comparing myself to others because I am too focused on becoming the best version of me. And you realize that the challenge was never about becoming perfect. It was about becoming aware, grounded, intentional, aligned, powerful, and finally free from the invisible weight you've been carrying for years. And now, after these 30 days, you understand a truth that will stay with you forever. Comparison fades when purpose grows. Comparison dies when identity strengthens. Comparison disappears when you finally choose yourself. And from this day forward, you're choosing yourself, your path, your pace, your progress, your future, because the world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs the strongest, clearest, boldest version of you. Chapter 9: Success on Your Own Terms. Success begins the moment you stop waiting for permission, the moment you stop explaining yourself, the moment you stop shrinking your dreams so others won't feel uncomfortable. And this chapter is your awakening to a truth most people never realize. You cannot build an extraordinary life while begging for approval from ordinary minds. You cannot rise while constantly checking who's watching you. And you cannot unlock your true potential while living inside other people's expectations. The only way to stop comparing yourself to others is to build a life that makes comparison feel ridiculous, irrelevant, and impossible. And that journey begins by admitting one hard truth. You have been asking for permission your entire life without realizing it. Permission to be confident, permission to pursue your dreams, permission to change, permission to fail, permission to grow, permission to do things differently. But the world does not give permission freely. The world hands it out selectively, usually to those who look the part, act the part, or follow the rules. And you've spent too many years waiting at a door that was never meant for you, when all along you had the power to build your own. Success on your own terms is not about becoming better than others. It's about becoming so deeply aligned with who you are that the success of others doesn't threaten you, doesn't distract you, doesn't intimidate you, but instead becomes background noise because your path is so clear, so personal, so meaningful that nobody else's timeline matters anymore. And the moment you stop comparing your journey to theirs is the moment your real life begins, a life built on intention, not imitation. But let's be honest, you were trained to look around, not within. Train to ask, is this acceptable? Instead of, is this right for me? Train to ask, what will they think? Before, what do I truly want? Train to measure yourself against standards you never chose. And this constant search for approval is why your confidence cracks, why your decisions feel heavy, why your dreams feel distant, because you have been outsourcing your worth to people who do not live your life, do not feel your fears, do not carry your burdens, do not share your calling. And because of that, your identity has been shaped by voices that were never qualified to guide you. But now, right here, this chapter is your moment to reclaim every part of yourself you lost while trying to be acceptable, liked, admired, or validated. This is where you stop performing and start becoming, where you stop asking and start choosing, where you stop explaining and start owning the direction of your life. And let me tell you something powerful. Every person you admire, every person you compare yourself to, every successful person you see online, every creator, every entrepreneur, every athlete, every artist, every leader, every titan of success, all of them broke the invisible rule that says you need someone else's permission to rise. They stopped asking, they started moving, they stopped waiting, they started building, they stopped caring about the approval of people who are not on their level, and they decided to define success in their own language. Because here's the truth no one tells you. When you live on your own terms, comparison becomes impossible, irrelevant, and laughable. Because you finally realize that no two destinies are identical, no two journeys are the same, and no two lives were meant to follow the same design. Your path is custom-made, your calling is tailor-fit, your gifts are one of one, and trying to compare your unique blueprint with someone else's is like comparing a tree to a lightning bolt. They exist for completely different purposes, but the reason comparison feels so heavy for you is because you are not living in your true direction yet. You are trapped between who you want to be and who you think you should be, between the life you dream about and the life you tolerate, between your inner fire and your outer habits. And this tension is what creates insecurity, jealousy, frustration, and self-doubt. But when you finally start building the life that feels like yours, something incredible happens. You stop caring how fast others are growing because you are too focused on your own growth. You stop caring what others achieve because you recognize what you're capable of. You stop caring who gets ahead because you know your timing is divine. You stop caring who doubts you because you no longer doubt yourself. And you stop asking for permission because you realize that nobody else has the authority to validate your destiny. And to build this life that feels undeniably yours, you must begin with the foundation. Defining success on your own terms, not society's terms, not your family's terms, not your friends' terms, not social media's terms, but your own. So ask yourself, what does success actually mean to me? Not what I'm told it should mean, not what I pretend it means, not what looks impressive to others, but what feels right to my soul. Maybe your version of success is peace, not applause. Maybe it's freedom, not fame. Maybe it's stability, not spotlight. Maybe it's creativity, not competition. Maybe it's depth, not attention. Maybe it's impact, not income. Or maybe it's wealth and freedom and recognition. But the point is, it must be yours, not borrowed. Because if you chase someone else's definition of success, you will always feel behind, unfulfilled, and inferior, no matter how much you achieve. But when you chase your own definition of success, every step becomes meaningful. Every effort becomes aligned. Every win feels authentic. And comparison fades naturally because nobody else is running your race. And once you define what success means to you, the second step is to live like you believe you deserve it. To stop dimming your ambition just because someone else might feel uncomfortable. To stop apologizing for dreaming big. To stop diluting your greatness just to fit into rooms that cannot contain you. Success requires audacity, the courage to say, I don't need permission. I only need direction. The courage to disappoint people if it means you are no longer disappointing yourself. The courage to choose long-term fulfillment over short-term approval. The courage to build your path even when nobody understands it yet. Because here is a secret the world hides. The people who judge you now will admire you later. The people who question you now will study you later. The people who doubt you now will quote you later, but only if you stop shrinking and start stepping into your real identity. And when you finally begin to move boldly, something shifts inside you. You stop chasing acceptance. You start choosing alignment. You stop measuring your pace. You start honoring your process. You stop fearing judgment. You start trusting your intuition. You stop waiting for signs. You start creating them. You stop comparing your journey. You start mastering it. And in this state, comparison begins to look ridiculous because you realize that your lane is wide, open, and designed specifically for you. And the third step to succeeding on your own terms is removing the need for applause. Because applause is the most addictive, permission-seeking behavior on the planet. And too many people trade their destiny for approval, their identity for acceptance, their uniqueness for validation. But applause is temporary, acceptance is conditional, and admiration is fickle. Build your life in such a way that even if nobody claps, you do not stop, you do not pause, you do not question your worth. Build a life that is fueled by purpose, not permission. Build a life that is guided by intention, not imitation. Build a life so true to who you are that comparison becomes irrelevant. Because nobody else has what you have, nobody else carries what you carry, nobody else sees the world the way you do. Nobody else combines your experiences, your scars, your lessons, your strengths, your passions, your intuition, your resilience. You are unrepeatable, and the world needs the version of you that is fully expressed, not the version that is constantly self-editing to look appropriate. And when you stop asking permission, when you stop shrinking, when you stop hiding, when you stop doubting, when you finally begin to build your life deliberately, fearlessly, unapologetically, that is when you unlock a level of success that doesn't just impress others, but fulfills you deeply. And that kind of success kills comparison at the root because you finally understand there was never a competition to begin with, only a calling. And your calling is waiting for you to stop seeking permission and start stepping into the life you were meant to build. And from this moment forward, let this be your new truth. You do not follow, you lead. You do not chase, you create. You do not compare, you choose. You do not ask, you decide. You do not seek approval, you seek alignment. And when you live by this truth, comparison dissolves, permission becomes irrelevant, and your life becomes unstoppable. Chapter 10. Your next chapter starts today. The Unstoppable Action Blueprint. Welcome to your final chapter. But here's the truth. This isn't an ending. This is your beginning. Everything you've learned, everything you've discovered about yourself, every moment of clarity you've experienced while reading this book has brought you to this exact moment. And this moment, this is where your real life starts. Let me ask you something. Right now, as you're listening to these words, what's going through your mind? Are you thinking about all the ways you've compared yourself to others this week? Are you remembering that Instagram post that made you feel less than? That colleague's promotion that stung a little? That friend's perfect relationship that made you question your own journey? Good. Feel that. Acknowledge it. Because that feeling, that comparison trap you've been caught in, ends today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when you finally achieve that one thing you think will make you worthy. Today. Here's what I know about you. You picked up this book because something inside you knew there was more. More potential. More happiness. More authenticity. More life waiting for you on the other side of comparison. And you were right. That voice inside you, that whisper that said, there has to be a better way, that was your true self calling out to you. And you answered. But knowledge without action is just entertainment. Understanding without implementation is just philosophy. You didn't come this far to stay the same person you were when you started. You came here to transform. And transformation requires one thing above everything else: action. So let's talk about your action blueprint. Not some generic advice that sounds good but doesn't work. Not some motivational fluff that makes you feel inspired for 5 minutes and then forgotten by tomorrow. I'm talking about a real, practical, 5-step system that you can start implementing the moment you finish this chapter. A system that will fundamentally change how you see yourself, how you measure success, and how you live your life. Step 1. The comparison audit. Know your enemy. You can't defeat an enemy you don't understand. And comparison is your enemy. But it's a sneaky one. It doesn't announce itself. It creeps in disguise as curiosity, as staying informed, as just seeing what everyone else is up to. Here's your first action step, and I want you to take this seriously. For the next 72 hours, I want you to become a detective of your own mind. Every single time you catch yourself comparing, I want you to write it down. Not in your head. Write it down physically or type it in your phone. What were you comparing? Who were you comparing yourself to? How did it make you feel? What triggered it? Was it social media? A conversation? A random thought while you were alone? Most people have no idea how often they compare themselves. They think it's occasional. It's not. Research shows the average person compares themselves to others multiple times per hour. That's not living. That's suffering in slow motion. But here's the powerful part. Once you see the pattern, once you understand your triggers, you gain power over them. You can't change what you're not aware of. This audit isn't about judging yourself. It's about liberating yourself. Because when you shine a light on the comparison trap, it loses its power over you. Write down everything. The big comparisons and the small ones. The colleague who seems to have it all together. The influencer with a perfect life. The friend who just bought a house. The sibling who's more successful. The stranger at the gym who's fitter. All of it. By the end of 72 hours, you'll have a map of your mental prison. And once you see the walls clearly, you can start tearing them down. Step 2. The identity rewrite. Become who you actually are. Now we get to the deep work. The work that changes everything. You've been living with a story about who you are. A story built from comparisons, from other people's expectations, from society's definitions of success, from your family's dreams for you, from your own fears about not being enough. But that story, it's fiction, and it's time to write a new one. Take out a piece of paper or open a blank document. I want you to answer these questions, and I want you to be brutally honest. No one else will see this. This is between you and your truth. Question 1. If comparison didn't exist, if you never knew what anyone else was doing with their life, what would you want? Not what sounds impressive. Not what would make others jealous. What would genuinely make you come alive? Question 2. What are you doing when you completely lose track of time? When hours feel like minutes because you're so absorbed, so present, so fully yourself? Question 3. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And more importantly, what would you do if you knew no one would ever know about it? Because that second question, that's where your truth lives. That's the thing you want for the pure joy of it, not for the validation. Question 4. What parts of your current life are you living because you want them? And what parts are you living because you think you should want them? This is uncomfortable work. I know that. Because when you start answering these questions honestly, you might realize you've been climbing the wrong mountain. You might realize the goals you've been chasing aren't even yours. There's someone else's goals that you adopted because they seemed like the right goals to have. But discomfort is the price of authenticity. And authenticity is the only path to real fulfillment. Write your new identity statement. Not who you think you should be, who you actually are. Start it with these words. I am someone who, and then fill in the rest with truth. Raw, unfiltered, comparison-free truth. I am someone who values creativity over climbing the corporate ladder. I am someone who finds joy in simple moments rather than impressive achievements. I am someone who measures success by inner peace, not external validation. I am someone who chooses depth over breadth, quality over quantity, authenticity over approval. Whatever your truth is, write it down. Read it every single morning. Let it become the foundation of your new life. Step 3. The success redefinition. Create your own scoreboard. Society has a scoreboard for your life. Money earned, title achieved, house size, car brand, followers count, relationship status, body measurements. The scoreboard is everywhere, and it's relentless. But here's the secret that successful, happy people know. The scoreboard is optional. You don't have to play someone else's game. You can create your own definition of winning. Think about this. What if your scoreboard looked completely different? What if instead of measuring net worth, you measured peace of mind? What if instead of tracking promotions, you tracked moments of genuine joy? What if instead of counting likes, you counted deep conversations? Your third action step is to build your personal success metrics. These are the things that actually matter to you, not the things that society says should matter. Here's how you do it. List out 5 to 7 metrics that define a successful day for your life. Not anyone else's, yours. Maybe it's, did I create something today? Did I move my body? Did I connect meaningfully with someone I care about? Did I learn something new? Did I make progress on a project that excites me? Did I practice gratitude? Did I choose courage over comfort? These become your new measurements. These become how you evaluate whether you're winning or losing at life. And here's what happens when you do this. Suddenly, you can have an incredibly successful day, even if nothing impressive happened. You can win every single day, regardless of what anyone else is doing, because you're playing a different game now. A game where the only person you're competing with is the person you were yesterday. Track these metrics daily, weekly, monthly. Watch yourself improve on your scoreboard. Watch yourself become more of who you actually want to be, rather than a poor imitation of who you think you should be. Step 4. The gratitude revolution. Rewire your brain for abundance. Here's a hard truth about comparison. It's rooted in scarcity. The belief that there's not enough success, not enough happiness, not enough worth to go around. So if someone else has it, that means less for you. But that's a lie. And gratitude is the antidote. Neuroscience has proven something remarkable. You cannot feel gratitude and comparison at the same time. They're neurologically incompatible. Your brain literally cannot do both simultaneously. So if you want to eliminate comparison, you need to flood your mind with gratitude. Your fourth action step is the daily gratitude practice. And I don't mean the superficial kind where you quickly think of 3 things you're thankful for while brushing your teeth. I mean deep, intentional, transformative gratitude. Every single morning, before you check your phone, before you see what everyone else is doing, I want you to spend 5 minutes writing down everything you're grateful for in your life. Your unique life, your incomparable life, the roof over your head, the food in your kitchen, the people who love you, the skills you've developed, the challenges you've overcome, the opportunities in front of you, the breath in your lungs, the beating of your heart. Get specific. Don't just write my family. Write the way my daughter laughs at her own jokes, or how my partner makes coffee for me every morning, or the text my friend sent yesterday just to check on me. Because when you get specific with gratitude, something incredible happens. You start seeing abundance everywhere. You start realizing how rich your life already is. Not compared to anyone else's life. Rich in its own right. And when you feel abundant, comparison loses its grip. Because you're not looking at others thinking they have what I lack. You're looking at your own life thinking, I have so much. This isn't positive thinking nonsense. This is brain chemistry. When you practice gratitude consistently, you increase dopamine and serotonin production. You literally rewire your neural pathways from scarcity to abundance, from comparison to contentment. Do this every day for 30 days. Watch how it changes everything. Step 5. The bold action protocol. Do something scary. Here's the final step, and it's the most important one. Because everything we've talked about means nothing if you don't take action in the real world. You know what kills comparison more than anything else? Being too busy building your own life to worry about anyone else's. Your fifth action step is this. Choose one thing you've been putting off because you were afraid it wouldn't measure up. One dream you've been postponing because you were worried about what others would think. One goal you've been avoiding because you didn't feel ready enough, good enough, or qualified enough. And start today. Not perfectly, not impressively. Just start. Write the first page of that book. Send an email about that business idea. Sign up for that class. Have that difficult conversation. Apply for that opportunity. Create that thing. Start that project. Do it scared. Do it imperfectly. Do it while still feeling unsure. Because action cures comparison. Movement creates momentum. And momentum creates confidence. Here's what happens when you take bold action on your own goals. You stop having mental energy left over to compare yourself to others. You're too invested in your own journey. You're too focused on your next step. You're too excited about your progress. Comparison happens in the gap between who you are and who you want to be. But when you're actively working to close that gap, when you're making real progress on real goals that matter to you, that gap becomes a source of excitement, not anxiety. You're not comparing yourself to others anymore. You're comparing yourself to who you were last week, last month, last year. And that's the only comparison that matters. So what's your bold action? What's the one thing that scares you and excites you at the same time? That's your signal. That's what you need to do. Don't wait until you feel ready. You'll never feel ready. Don't wait until the conditions are perfect. They'll never be perfect. Don't wait until you're confident. Confidence comes from action, not before it. Start now. Start small if you need to, but start. Bringing it all together. Your unstoppable future. So here's your blueprint. 5 steps that will transform how you live. The comparison audit. Know your enemy. Track every comparison for 72 hours. Understand your patterns. The identity rewrite. Define who you actually are, not who you think you should be. Write your truth and live it. The success redefinition. Create your own scoreboard. Measure what actually matters to you. The gratitude revolution. Flood your mind with appreciation for your unique life. Rewire your brain for abundance. The bold action protocol. Take scary action on your real goals. Build momentum that leaves no room for comparison. These 5 steps aren't theoretical. They're practical. They're proven. And they work if you work them. But here's what I need you to understand. This isn't a one-time thing. This is a lifestyle. This is a daily practice. This is choosing, again and again, to focus on your own path instead of everyone else's highlight reel. Some days will be easy. You'll feel strong, focused, certain of your worth. Other days will be hard. You'll slip back into old patterns. You'll catch yourself scrolling, comparing, feeling less than. That's okay. That's human. Progress isn't linear. Growth isn't perfect. What matters is that you keep coming back to these 5 steps. Keep redirecting your focus. Keep choosing your own path. Because here's the beautiful truth that I want you to carry with you forever. Your life is not a competition. It's a masterpiece. And masterpieces aren't created by copying others. They're created by having the courage to be originally, authentically, unapologetically yourself. You have gifts that no one else has. You have a perspective that's entirely unique. You have a combination of experiences, talents, passions, and dreams that has never existed before and will never exist again. The world doesn't need another copy of someone else. The world needs you. The real you. The you that exists when you stop comparing. The you that shines when you stop competing. The you that emerges when you finally give yourself permission to be different, to be weird, to be imperfect, to be enough exactly as you are. That version of you, that's the person who's been waiting to come alive. That's the person this book has been written for. That's the person who's ready to step into their next chapter. Your next chapter doesn't start tomorrow. It doesn't start when you finally achieve that thing. It doesn't start when you become someone different. Your next chapter starts today, right now. In this moment, with the decision to stop looking sideways at everyone else's life and start looking forward to your own, you are ready. You are worthy. You are enough. Not because you've achieved anything, not because you've proven anything, but because you exist, because you're here, because your life matters. So what are you waiting for? Permission? You have it. Confidence? It comes from doing, not waiting. The perfect moment? This is it. Stop comparing yourself. Unlock your true potential and become the unstoppable force you were always meant to be. Your next chapter is calling. Answer it. Go build your masterpiece. The world is waiting.